watching Chicken Breast TV. Welcome to Trucks Gym Miami. Hashtag Team Trucks Gym right there, as you can see. Today we're talking about the core, and we're defining trunk flexion and defining trunk compression or abdominal compression. And when we define this, I'm going to explain how some of you may have been doing some of your ab exercises wrong, which may be why you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So yeah, let's get started. Now you guys know I have trouble with rambling, and sometimes I have trouble keeping that like linear thought process when I'm explaining something to you guys. So please listen carefully, take notes, do what you got to do, because I don't want to confuse you guys, and I want you guys to understand this. Basically, we have two main muscle actions that most people will use when they're doing an abdominal exercise. You have the trunk flexion, and then you have the compression of the abdomen or compression of the trunk. Basically, guys, a floor plank, which I can show you in a second, is compression of the abdomen. The trunk flexion is your basic crunch. Not a sit-up, but your basic crunch. As you can see, my back is round and my trunk, my core is flexed. Now, if you guys don't know what the plank looks like, let me try to do it here. I don't want to edit this video too much, but this is the plank. This is the compression of the abdomen, right? Now, what differentiates between the two? Well, basically, the trunk flexion, your trunk is flexing, right? It's kind of bending. During the compression, your abdominal muscles are trying to keep their flat posture, okay? So when you're doing a plank, you're in a straight position. You look like a plank, like a wooden board. And basically what the abs are doing is gravity is pulling your core down, and your core is keeping its posture straight. So like this. So gravity is making me want to do this, but I'm compressing my abs and I'm keeping that flat ab, basically. So when looking at a sit-up, not a crunch, but a sit-up, we're actually doing two muscle actions: hip flexion and compression of the abdomen. So that is why a sit-up and a crunch are very different. So a crunch looks like this. See, I'm flexed. And a sit-up looks like this. You see, I'm keeping my body straight. Also, guys, you might be familiar with the dragon flag exercise, where you're just going up and down and you're like holding onto the back of the bench, right? That's compression, guys, because you're supposed to be keeping your body aligned and flat. So if you don't know what the dragon flag is, just YouTube it. It's also known as a dragonfly sometimes, but it's really called the dragon flag. A couple of exercises that you may or may not know that use compression or are supposed to be using compression of the abdomen / trunk would be the plank, the sit-up, the dragon flag, stuff like that. Now, talking about trunk flexion or abdominal flexion, there are a couple of movements that are pretty obvious, like the crunch and the toe to bar, right? Because the pelvis is moving, right, guys? The pelvis is actually supposed to be moving like this. Now, there are a few exercises that most people do not do the flexion in that they're supposed to, and they're only doing, let's say, the hip flexion. Those exercises would be any sort of leg lift or knee raise. Now, I'm going to show you an example of what a lot of people, or how a lot of people perform this exercise, and how they're actually supposed to in order to engage the flexion, in order to engage the core. Basically, a lot of people do their knee lifts like this. The knee lift should move the pelvis upward, like that. Same thing with the straight leg lift. Don't forget to roll the pelvis forwards. Same thing when you're laying down and doing a knee lift or a leg lift. Roll the pelvis forwards, and that way you get the flexion. Because if you're just moving the leg, not the pelvis, you're actually just getting hip flexion and working on this muscle and not this muscle. I'm Pro D. You're watching Chicken Breast TV. Welcome to Trucks Gym Miami. Hashtag Team Trucks Gym. Later, guys. I hope that made some sense.